With this session update, I'm Shannon Lurkey. Members of the Senate Republican caucus introduced measures to reduce the cost of home ownership. Here's that press conference.
That represents LeSueur, Scott, and Rice counties. I want to thank everybody for coming today, and we're here to talk about housing today. We were fortunate enough to have a select committee this summer on home ownership, and kind of my vision on the committee was the pathway to home ownership. I truly believe one of the best ways to get people out of poverty is home ownership, some form of home ownership. So I started in the Senate, 3.5 years ago. I was fortunate enough to be on Governor Dayton's task force on housing. And a lot of the things we heard on that task force, we also heard in the select committee. And we went out and visited a bunch of different builders and nonprofits. And we heard the same thing from nonprofits that we heard from the builders. We came together and brainstormed a list of bills that we thought would make a difference in housing affordability. And we have that list. We've introduced the majority of our bills, and we have some people here to talk about some of the ideas we have. With that, I will let Senator Housley talk about code changes.
Thank you, Senator Draheim. I'm Senator Karin Housley, represents Stillwater, Forest Lake, St. Croix Valley. I have the bill that will change the state building code, or reform the state building code. What this bill will do is it freezes changes to the state building code for the next 6 years unless such changes are passed by the legislature, exempting changes that protect the immediate health, safety, and welfare of the public. The bill also prohibits any additions to the state's energy code unless the changes can be shown to pay for themselves within 5 years. And also it establishes that cities can require only one inspection per area of competence. For example, one electrical inspection, one plumbing inspection. And to that point, we have window clips that are required. This has been, it being in the real estate business, this is one of those additional costs that can actually prohibit homeowners from buying a home, because it's almost an extra $1,000 per home, and at every $1,000 you add to the price of a home, you're eliminating 1,200 potential buyers. So we have with us Daryl Dorr to do a demonstration on what these window clips are and why we could make some improvements to eliminate these window clips.
So the current code requires a project that has a piece where the window opening control device only can go out to just so far. And I'll turn it around just in a minute here, but to have that, you need to have two different gears by code to allow that to open up. Relative to this being the project. So now when you crank that back in, it will reconnect. But there again, there's also some potential egress issues that come along with this as well. So that's what Senator Housley is talking about relative to the $800 to $1,000 per home, predicated on how many window openings that you have that required that by the current code.
And there's different styles of these windows with different clips. Some of them you have to actually go on either side of the window and push in to raise or lower the window. Different manufacturers use different types. But I think we have some builders here. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Yep. Good morning. My name is Tony Weiner. I'm Vice President with Cardinal Home Builders. We develop, build, and remodel homes in our region, mainly on the east side of the metro area. Our company focuses its work on building quality, affordable homes for our customers. One of the areas that we focus on is the one-level living, which is a very popular product right now, mainly for empty nesters and move-down buyers. That's who's looking for those. As many of you know, it's extremely difficult to build these homes affordably right now. As a small regional developer and builder, the land costs and regulatory roadblocks are very challenging. As a member of the housing industry, I'm extremely concerned with the trend away from affordability. Our population is growing, but our ability to house them is becoming more difficult. Last year, on almost a weekly basis, during our busy time of the season, almost on a weekly basis, I was getting phone calls from people that were looking to build homes in that $200,000 to $250,000 price range in the metro area, the suburbs, or in the city area. And I would have to turn these people down every day and tell them I just can't do it. And I didn't even know where to turn them to at that point, as far as if there's another builder that could do it for them. I would just have to turn them away. In fact, some of them would even fight back with me and say, "Are you kidding? You got to be able to do this." And I just was not able to do that for them. As others have stated, this is because there's literally dozens of regulatory factors that are driving these costs. As a small business, it's far and away our biggest challenge we face. We build safe, energy efficient, durable homes, and we know what the customers want. They want to live in these communities. They want to be able to even stay in their community, move down into a smaller home as they age, but they just can't do that affordably. I think one of the misconceptions that builders get is that we only want to build these bigger homes for people. That's where we make our money, and that's all builders want. They want to build these bigger homes, and that's not the case. I could have a line around my building with people in this $250,000 to $300,000 price range. We could build more homes, and I would be very happy to do that. So I think that's something we want to get across, is that it's not, us as builders, we're not just out there for those big home customers. We want to build for everybody. Our building permits are substantially higher than those for the identical homes across the river in Wisconsin. We're just asking, what if we looked at why we are paying so much more for building permits here than we are just miles away? There's dozens of fixes that need to be made, but I'm hoping that these bills and the conversations that we're starting can begin to shine a light on the regulatory roadblocks and free up our housing market, helping to meet the market's large demand. Again, I'm just a small builder. It's a family business. We've been in the area for over 50 years. I have an aunt, she's a past state senator, Deanna Weiner. She's been in the business for a long time, and she just remembers, she tells me all the time how we were able to, when she first got in the industry, build those affordable homes for people. And she looks at it now and is just shocked that we're not able to do that. She even comes to me and says, "Are you sure we can't do it?" And I just tell her, we're not able to. I think we'd all be surprised at just how willing buyers would be to purchase a simple, well-built home. But today our requirements, our zoning rules, our land costs, lot sizes, park fees, engineering requirements, they just don't allow for the simplicity we used to take for granted. We should be able to build these safe, sustainable neighborhoods that are also affordable, but we have to reimagine a new and better way for housing.
Sure. I'm Samantha Gross with Oak and Arrow Homes. We primarily design and remodel homes throughout the Twin Cities. I think Tony did a great job summing up what we're after today, and we're really hoping that this is a really good start for housing affordability, and we'll start making some good changes for our industry. So thank you.
Good morning, I'm Jason Murley, J. Carson Remodeling. We're a small remodeling company, works mostly in the South Metro, and I can see across the board the regulations have increased the cost of remodeling for permitting, electrical, plumbing, heating, all the way across the board for everything that we're putting in. And the word I'm hearing is it's even getting worse for some of the specific regulations with that, which will just, again, increase the cost with that. So doing our part to see what we can do to make this affordable for everybody.
We have Chair Weber here. Senator Weber, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you very much. Apologize for the delay in getting here, but I want to compliment my fellow senators on the work that they've done to put together a series of bills that address some of the rules and regulatory costs that we have out there. As we visit with our builders, we understand the high percentage of total costs that rules and regulations has become. We all understand we can't get rid of every rule and regulation. There is a need for that out there to ensure the safety of the consumer. But at the end of the day, we also need to make sure that consumers are not paying additional money just in order to help local budgets out and have them pick up a unfair share of that particular burden. And so I look forward to these bills as they go through the committee process, and I know that there will be continued discussion with all the parties involved. And at the end of the day, our goal is to make more homes available for more people, and quite frankly, there's no one can deny that that's a good thing. And as we, if we really are concerned about having one Minnesota, then we need to make sure that we have one affordable Minnesota as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Questions? That's it, guys. Any questions?
I'm curious about the inspection, and builders probably would be the best to respond to this. Don't you need to have systems exposed, electrical, plumbing to be inspected? And is your entire plumbing exposed at one point in your building process for a plumbing inspector to do it? Don't you need to have them coming back multiple times?
They do, they come back, yeah, so like in a plumbing situation, there's a rough-in inspection and then a final inspection, yes.
Okay, I thought you said this would say only one systems inspection for each project.
Yeah, one final inspection.
But what we heard, especially from the what we heard from, especially for some of the nonprofits, that there were more and more inspectors coming out doing the same thing. And that was in Minneapolis. So we're just trying to keep things on the same path and what it was intended, and to have an inspect, you had electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all the inspectors that normally would come, still would come. So I hope that clarifies.
But I think when we're, from one agency, so there's not, we don't have multiple people looking at the same thing, yes.
It says here, we build virtually no homes at the starter home level. In many cities, they are not legal to build. So is that due to like legal rules and regulations as opposed to state? Are there multiple layers of regulations that you're talking about here?
Yeah, I guess what we're trying to get at is, in practicality, it is illegal to build a starter home anymore. A lot of communities have decided to change their zoning. In the olden days, we'd have like R1, R2, R3, commercial, mixed use, et cetera. And a lot of those are still on the map, but it's in the areas that are already built up. Where the available land is a planned unit development, or a PUD. And with that, as a developer, you would have to go to the community and present what you want to do. And a lot of times they would come back and say, okay, if you want to do that, you have to build on 3/4 acre lots with a triple garage, and it has to have brick or stone on the front. And that all adds to the cost, and makes it unable for these folks here to build a home that would be in that, what I would consider bottom third of the price range, which would be more of a starter home.
So what you're saying is that certain cities are saying we only want a certain kind of house and not necessarily affordable homes. So it's sort of city officials or local officials that are kind of stopping this from happening?
Well, I don't want to put blame on any one group or person. I think it's a complicated issue. You look at zoning, density, size of the structure, and then, of course, any extra amenities that they put on that really don't help with the safety of the building. It's more of the appearance. So those all play together. And then we look at the cost of the permits. So we had one community that their average home building permits costs were over $17,000 for a new home. And the number I use, for every $1,000 we add to the cost of the home, so window clips would eliminate, the stat for this year's 3181, so 3,181 people or families from affording that house. And you start adding all these things together, and that prices out a lot of people out of homes. And what we're trying to do is that American dream. What can we do to get more people into that American dream?
I attended a couple of your meetings, and there was still a fair amount of pushback from local government, from the Association of Cities and Counties on this. Did you break through that at all as you went through the course of the task force? Are you getting any sort of agreement that maybe they want to look at this?
You know, I think all these ideas that we come or have brought forward, we'll work through the process, and we've had quite a few discussions with the League of Cities and some other groups. And obviously, they have some concerns with some of our bills. And we're saying, we think they should charge a fee. That's not what we're saying is no fees. We're just saying it should be a reasonable fee, and what the law states is that these fees should be used for inspections. So if they're spending more or collecting more than they're spending, they're actually breaking the state statute on that. So I think it's part of the problem is the form that was being used, I don't think was well written. So we have a bill that addresses that. But when you only have a little over 100 cities a year filling out the form, you know, and then last year there was pressure put on by the agency to get more cities to do the form, but you're still not having probably the proper amount of cities reporting, and they could each get fined $10,000. And we don't want to fine people. We want them to just report what they're supposed to report and do the right thing. So we're going to work on that form with the league and hopefully come up with a compromise.
It seems like some of the issues you have are NIMBY issues more than city bureaucrat issues. If you're out in a suburb and they want every other house to have brick on the front because their house had brick on the front, that's a NIMBY issue, and they pressure the city. Is that?
I think you're right. We heard that time and time again on the governor's task force. Was not in my backyard, over and over and over again. And what we're trying to say is we need pockets of the city that have places where we can build affordable homes. We're not saying throughout the whole city, but there has to be a portion of the city that can have a higher density and a lower price point home. So that's all we're asking for. Any other questions? Well, I really appreciate everybody coming, and thank you very much.